Hi there, and welcome to another one of the TheAdipose and Luos Destruct's LittleBigPlanet tutorials. Today we're doing a tips and tricks video based around our Discworld level. Recently released, it's about 2 weeks old now. Check it out if you haven't already. It's called Discworld Thieves of Ankh Morpork, in which you play a junior thief on his first day, and you have to break into various places before ending up trying to escape a wizard's tower. So check it out if you haven't already. In one part of the level, you go past some magic stars, which are actually flinging little stars out at you. So we're going to show you how to do that little trick. Luos has just made some cardboard stars here, and he's going to put some different colours on them. Then he's going to electrify them using the electrify tool, the dangerous objects. But because they're thin layer, they can't actually do the player any damage, so they're purely there for effect. We're going to capture them as an object, delete them, and then we're going to put them in an emitter on a larger star. So we're going to put a large star there, attach it with a bolt which will make it spin. I think we used a wobble bolt in the level itself, so it swings one way or the other. Then we're going to put a key on the star, a key switch on the edge, so as the key rotates, it triggers. We're going to put an emitter there too, so every time the star spins it triggers the one-shot switch, which will then trigger the emitter, which will have the stars in them, and the stars will appear to come burst out of the star, giving us a nice magical glittery effect as our hero wanders through the wizard's tower. Now, we used quite a lot of magical sound effects in the level, and a lot of them actually came from the ICO Create pack, which not many people know, or I certainly wasn't aware, that there's actually a sound effect object in there, and there's a lot of really good magical sound, roars, crashes, explosions and various things. So if you haven't got it and you like creating magical or fantastic levels, or fantasy levels I should say, check it out. This is where the stars are in the real level, and they're actually in front of a large milk bottle, because the milk bottle actually works like a mirror. Now, if you tuck the end of the milk bottle where the player can't see, all the player actually sees is the mirror effect. And there's our little stars there at the top rotating and emitting stars with sound effects, giving us a lovely little effect. This is the sneak sensor made by RTM223. First seen in his level Subterranean Setbacks, and in fact you can get a copyable version of this logic from his level, so check that out if you want it. The sneak sensor means you have to walk slowly or you get killed, and the way it works is it has a Sackboy tracker underneath with a few little modifications. Sackboy tracker you can get from the LittleBigPlanet Central Logic Pack. Basically, as you can see, it's a bit of cardboard or polystyrene that follows the player as he walks backwards and forward. Now, the Sackboy tracker here is set to a slower speed than Sackboy can run. And when Luos outruns the Sackboy tracker, it sets off the outside proximity switches as well as the inside proximity switches, which in turn kills him, because clearly then he has outrun the Sackboy tracker. There is an AND switch at the beginning, which means that it won't kill him when he first arrives, but it's actually a lot more simple than you think. A Sackboy tracker with an extra pair of proximity switches at the end. Check out RTM's level if you'd like a copy of it. These are our killer parrots. Nice and simple. These parrots kill you if they saw you sneaking across the rich man's room. And inside the head we have a searchlight, which is the switch, and we have a spotlight, which shows the player where the parrot is looking. The searchlight works just like a proximity switch, except it only works on one layer, which can be a real advantage in certain places. You can't make the searchlight smaller without making its light smaller as well, so we had to use the spotlight to back it up. This is the speech logic. That wheel right in front of us is a 5-way output wheel, meaning every time the wheel turns, it has a different output. At the bottom, we've got a flipper piston, which is attached to a one-shot switch, and every time that that piston flips in, the wheel will turn a small amount as set by the multi-bolt, and will line up the next switch round with the top of the wheel. So every time Luos triggers the button on the floor, the wheel will turn just a small bit. The flip piston is basically flipping on the multi-bolt and then turning it off again in exactly the right place to move the switch just a tiny bit. And if you watch that blue dot on the wheel, you can see that it's only moving one section each time. On the right there, the red load of pistons is basically an OR switch. Again, RTM's design. So lots of different inputs can trigger this wheel moving round. This wheel has lots of possible applications. It's not just for speech logic. It could be used in many different places. As we can see, there's me walking in front of the character, which is triggering the AND switch at the top, which triggers the top switch, whatever it may be. So there it says number 4. Let's move the wheel again. This time that switch isn't wired up, so he's silent, which is why my characters in the level don't keep blinking mouths at you. And there's number 1. So every time you trigger the wheel, it activates a different magic mouth without you seeing all the others at the same time. I've just connected the 5th switch up to the dissolve of the character, so this time when it gets to the end, the character disappears, which is useful for making characters disappear as well. Now in our cave section, we had drops falling on the floor. Now you've probably seen this trick before, but just in case you haven't, get yourself a Paintinator gun, choose the colour you want by changing your Sackboy colour, shoot the gun, and you get different colour paintballs. You can then capture those paintballs and emit them out of an emitter. So we've got our paintball. We're going to use a pink one or a blue one, I'm not sure what that is. We're putting a sound effect on it, which basically gives us like the bloop from the of being in a cave. We're setting the sound effect to trigger on destruction when the drop hits the floor. We're then going to put the paintball into an emitter and just time it to drop at regular intervals, and it will just fall out of the emitter like a nice little drop. There's only certain colours that you can make the drops, depending on the colour that you can make Sackboy. There are a few, or make Sackboy's pop it, I should say. If you've seen my 3D layer tutorial, you will be aware that you can put complex objects into the background, and that's how we did the lecture theatre. We made 3 versions of the theatre, emitted them into the background. Check out my other tutorial for how to do that, and lined up one behind the other. Some people asked us how we did the stickering of the buildings. We're just going to show you a very simple version. Basically, the Pirates of the Caribbean pack is your friend. It has a load of windows and doors and bars and various different bits of wood. And although I've sped this one up, you can actually make a house in about 3 minutes. This one isn't amazing, but it's pretty good. And you can see there, you can just move the windows around, move the doors around, give yourself lots of woodwork, a nice little chimney, and you've got a perfectly functional house. Sometimes, though, it's hard to get the stickers on the edge of things, and for that I've created quite a complicated little tool. It's called a sticker camera, and the way it works is you get a piece of dark matter and you put a camera on it, which is useful because when you stand on that dark matter and you change the camera, what the camera is looking at, you can point it at whichever wall you want to put the stickers on, and the camera will stay there when you want to move or adjust the stickers. Because often I find when I'm trying to put the stickers on without the camera tool, the camera moves and I can't really see where I'm putting it. So a piece of dark matter and a camera, stick them together. This is the very top of the level. I'm just going to show you all the logic that's going on up here. You've got the scoreboard from collecting the coins. You've got all the versions of Dibbler. Dibbler is basically attached to a rod, and he's triggered by a permanent switch, and he just lowers into position. But there's also a little brain on the top of each Dibbler dark matter, and when you trigger that, Dibbler disappears, ready for the next incarnation. We could have done him with a deer emitter, but to be honest, we were a bit lazy. This is a little preview of Sack the Legendary 5, which will be Luos Destruct's next level. Again, looking at the 3D layer glitch here, you can see this wonderful canyon that he has put together, or chasm that he's put together. Same idea as the lecture theatre, just layer upon layer upon layer. Well, that's it. I hope you've learned some useful tips and tricks, and we'll see you again soon for the next Little Big Planet tutorial. Bye-bye.